So let's start. Okay, finishing. Or no, we're not really finishing because we're going to continue in the next two Maimarim. They're relatively short Maimarim, I believe. We're talking about the concept of you have a person that doesn't necessarily know how to learn, a person that isn't shaykh to learning, versus a person that knows how to learn. So we discussed the matter of the person that doesn't know how to learn, and now we're going to discuss the chesaron. We're going to discuss the disadvantage of the person that knows how to learn. So Ben Torah, being gadol. So the person who's a son of Torah, someone that's shaykh to learning Torah, that he learns Torah with great depth. Das war halacha shuleimid b'chol prati dina davar al ifnei. Funny. So he studies well to understand the halacha that he is learning in all of its details, everything upon its place, with good reasoning and understanding and many opinions of Rishonim, and he comes up with chidushim, with direct reasonings. And also a person that studies, a person that works with service of the heart in length of contemplation at the time of davening, in concepts of Pnimis of Torah that he learns. The thing is felt internally, and it's placed by him with a good placing. The Indian read by him, their heart unlooks by him good up. The concept is well understood by him, and it's well placed by him. It's not really the reason why he translates to Yiddish is because some phrases just get across better in Yiddish. I can't retranslate it back into English. It doesn't really help. That with this feeling and this upgelegtkeit, which again is not really like a good English translation, something that's settled by him. So with this, he cleaves to the concept in his mind, or the concept cleaves to his mind, and he's stuck to the concept. Of course, we're going to discuss the advantage that we're talking about over here. In order to understand the disadvantage of the Ben Torah, you need to first understand the advantage. So
there's disadvantages to it?
That the whole point of this is the disadvantage of the Ben Torah. That's the whole thing that we're getting into is the disadvantage. But first we need to understand the advantage that you have. So you see that you have two concepts in looking deeply into things, looking deeply into understanding things. You have someone that learns some kind of sugya, whether it's in revealed aspects of Torah or if it's in hidden aspects of Torah. And his learning is with great depth. And the nature of this depth of studying is by nature a cleaving, that he's stuck to it. That at the time of learning he's becoming one with, and he's cleaving to the thing which he's understanding, the thing which he's looking into. All of this is only at the time that he's studying the concept. But after he studied the thing, he understood it well, he turns his mind to learning something else. So then he forgets the thing that he was studying. Not that he forgets it, that it's no longer in his mind, but it's no longer the depth that he understood it with is no longer by him. He's not actively plumbing the depths of it. He's right now he's learning something else. So this depth that he had in understanding is not lost from him at the time, the depth that he had while he was studying it in depth. But when the thing is good up collect by him, when the thing is well placed by him, that's when we're explaining what we mean when we say that it's well placed. The dveikus is in the concept, is in the same way that it's like when he first understands it. That it's constantly clear by him. That this is a great avodah, this is a great service that a person, work that a person does in service of the heart, with the length of contemplation in davening. So this is what we're saying, not just that a person, while he's thinking about it, it's good to uplift him. While he's thinking about it, he's able to understand it well. Some people can't understand it well, even while they are thinking about it in depth. Some people can understand it well. Some people can understand it well even when they're not actively thinking about it, even when they're not actively involved in it. The reason why is because when there's two different levels of understanding that you can come to. There's an understanding you can come to that you're not really one with it, you're just stuck to it at the moment, versus when it's really just one thing, when they become connected. You can give a mashal from Smicha, the concept of davok and how all the different ways that davok can apply. Whatever, we're not learning Smicha right now. We're learning
when it talks about during davening, it's referring to the halakhic times where you can, because not at every point you can. It's not like you can just stop at a point and start thinking about Torah. It's referring to at the right times you contemplate, right?
I'm confused what you mean, that there's no time that you can contemplate in this.
Between like Shema and Shema Esrei, like you can't just sit there and start thinking about Torah. It's meant to be a continuation.
I hear what you're saying, but there's always something in Torah to be connected to any point in davening. So you're not supposed to make a half-stick between Gal Yisrael and, I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. But even there, we do stick in a pasuk.
Yeah, but it's become, it's now part of the siddur, like it's part of davening.
It is now part of it, but that's something to contemplate.
And you can sit there and think about it rather than just continuing?
I'm not here to be a rabbi. You can ask Rabbi Ullman if you're interested. Right. But you contemplate. Yeah. So this is all the advantage of the Ben Torah or the Eivid. This is that the Ben Torah is able to learn. He's able to actually have deep svaras, and it's explained in Parkei Tanya that learning Torah, you're mamash able to connect to Hashem in a way that no other thing can get you connected to Hashem. And in davening, we're saying you have a person that he's taka cleaving to Hashem, that he has a constant awareness that comes from the fact that it's good upgulek by him, that it's well placed by him, that he's united with it regardless of if he's actively involved in it or even if he's not. So now that we understand this advantage, we can understand the proper depth of the disadvantage of the Ben Torah, the Eivid. So hine kasher machzik tevel la'atzmai, when he is machzik good for himself, when he considers it that like it's a good thing for himself, that he did good. So really, the V'chol Shekain is a little bit after, but with that, he thinks it's a good thing for himself that he chose to do avodah with vigorous learning of Torah, and that he's working in service of the heart. V'chol Shekain kishem esiyar, and even more so when he becomes haughty from it. Harei hu keir shucha la'atzmei v'nefel ba. He's digging a pit for himself and he's falling into it. Like if a person falls into a pit in the ground, he's lower, his body is lower than other people that are walking on the ground. So to someone that falls in haughtiness, so he's falling much lower than a regular person than a regular person can fall, even a person that's walking on the ground. He is, because the regular person is, Hashem should save us from this, but a regular person is lacking knowledge. And it's not just enough that the Ben Torah, that his Torah is nothing. But his davening is not comparable to the advantage of the davening of the simple person, or really I should say the advantage of the simple person who davens. And he says the chapters of Tehillim in a way of Kabbalas El, which we explained in the last days. This is what the pasuk says: "Gaivus Adam Tashpilenu," that the haughtiness of a person lowers him. Because the haughtiness makes the person into a lowly person. The sin of haughtiness, which it's an interesting concept, the sin of haughtiness, but it's for some people like I was in a Avera. Pagim Beves Asius Rishonis Hashem Avaya Yudke. It's pagim. It causes a blemish in the first two letters of Hashem's name, of Hashem Avaya, which are the letters of Yud and the letter Hey. Gaiva Olam Isfari Tesvav, because the gematria of Gaiva is Tesvav, it's 15. Kemisper Yudke, which is the gematria of the first two letters of Hashem's name. Shepagama Magil Vakinas Yudke, because the pagam, the blemish, reaches to the level of Yudke. Well, what does this mean? We're going to explain a little bit. This explains how he fell in a way that's completely not to scale his avodah. Because it's taka good avodah. We're not saying that. We're not bashing the avodah. We're not saying that avodah is really fake if you're a bal guy. But no, we're saying the real avodah, but the person is not teva. So because the avodah that he does is connected the level of chachma and bina. Because again, it's avodah that's in the mind, that you're being mispainted, you're having dveikos. Dveikos is in the mind, dveikos is in the heart. The heart gets excited. It's excited. It's important to have excitement in the heart, depending on what the excitement is from, whatever. But excitement in the heart is important. But the avodah you have the concept of avodah shebelev, that ultimately the avodah should permeate. But the way that you start the avodah, you can't start the avodah by saying I'm going to be excited. You start the avodah by saying I'm going to think, I'm going to be mispainted in the Eivishter. And through being mispainted in the Eivishter, then I can have dveikos in the Eivishter. And then when I have dveikos in the Eivishter, I can become excited. How there's a whole Kuntreis from the Mitzvah Rebbe explaining exactly with dakos, what kind of excitement you're supposed to have in davening. Some people could just get excited from the Giloyim, and he says don't get excited from the. He explains what to get excited from. But taka, it's avodah shebelev, but it comes with the level, and the avodah is in the levels of chachma and bina. Once you've developed in the level of chachma and bina, then you're able to properly do avodah shebelev. But where you do the avodah is in the chachma and bina. So chachma bina shebenafshe. So shehem gamke neged yudke, and these levels are connected yudke. It's known in Kabbalah that the four letters of Hashem's name represent four eras and spheres. That the yud represents chachma, and the hey represents bina, and the vav represents the six midas, and the hey represents malchus. So the avodah that you do is in yudke. So amram zo b'chinas yudke shebenefesh adam. This is in the level of yudke that's in the soul of a person. The blemish that a person causes with his haughtiness, it's a pagam in the level of yudke of above, which is not comparable, obviously, to the understanding of a person, to the mind of a person. Because the entire Seder Shalshus was only created with the second day of Hashem's name. And with the Yud of Hashem's name, He created the world to come, which is the payment of reward for clean service, for pure service. And when he has haughtiness, that he's haughty, they translate it as contemptuous. When he's messiah, so he's pagan. He causes a blemish in Yudke. He causes a blemish in both of these levels. Sayin, Klolo Seder Shalshus, Sayin, the entire world as we know it, and also in the world to come, also in the Mabah. Even if he didn't reach a level where he's mamish messiah, where he's mamish believes himself to be something called. Some people they kataka, usually you see this more with Ben Torah than you do with Avdim, but that's maybe because you don't usually see Avdim. But usually you see, I've observed this unfortunately with Ben Torah, that they learn a lot, and because they learn a lot, they think that they taka better than everyone else, and it's a very very unfortunate phenomenon. And you could wax poetic about it for a long time. I don't need to, because I don't need to start feeling bad about the state of things. But you have a phenomena where people feel haughty from it. But he's saying not necessarily only someone that mamish feels haughty, someone that mamish is messiah from their learning or from the davening. But he considers it a good part of him. This too is also very bad, and it's much lower than the simple person that we mentioned. Because besides for the fact that the simple person that he davens and he says chapters of Tehillim, this is the complete extent of his power. Because after he doesn't understand, what more is he able to do? But whatever he could do, he does. And besides for this, the essence of his avodah, the body and the essence of his avodah, of his service, is in a way of Kabbalas Il. It's in a way of receiving the yoke of Hashem, that he does what Hashem wants simply because that's what Hashem said, even if it doesn't make sense to him. And it's known that the avodah of Kabbalas Il, the service of Kabbalas Il, receiving the yoke of heaven, is a great and lofty avodah. The Lachain called Shema V'haya Im Shamoa. This is why the avodah of Shema comes before, or not just avodah. The concept of Shema Yisrael came before V'haya Im Shamoa. Because we should first be receiving the yoke of heaven. Shema Yisrael is receiving the yoke of heaven. This is the foundation and the root of avodah, of service. The same way that on the foundation stands the entire building. So too, receiving the yoke of heaven is the foundation of all service. The fact that you have the person that he's able to learn, is able to dominate. Not only that he's hoarding, not particularly that he's hoarding, but that he believes it to be a good thing for himself. So Shakal, I'm trying to think of a better way to translate it. Translate self-satisfaction. It's not bad. Self-satisfaction that a person feels when he with his avodah. Shakal Avidasu She'evid Satzmai. He shows that all of his avodah that he's doing, he's really serving himself. And this is like all pleasures. All pleasures and desires that a person does for himself. Like a person that eats or drinks or sleeps. That after he's machzor teva for himself, after he's self-satisfied with his avodah, he turns all of his avodah for his own pleasure and for his own self-love. Remember self-love, we were talking about that before. And besides for the fact that this avodah isn't, according to this, the avodah isn't actually avodah. He causes a blemish in his soul, and he dirties himself greatly. And a fat stain that's on a chashuv beged, that's on an important garment. It's much worse than a stain that's on a simple garment. It's interesting to note that there's a Gemara that says that a Talmid Chacham is not allowed to go outside with a stain on his clothing. A simple person is allowed to go outside with a stain on his clothing. A Talmid Chacham isn't allowed to go outside with a stain. So it's just the lashon that he uses of revav, like revav shalabega. That's the lashon that's used. It's not like the most common word for a stain. But yeah, it's much worse if you're Talmid Chacham, you're going out with a stain like that than a simple person. It's also understood in the nimshal that something which is negative like this kind of thing by a simple person isn't considered a sin or an inequity, however you would translate it. But for a Talmid Chacham that he learns and he davens with dveikos, that he's taka cleaving to it. It's not the avodah might taka be self-involved, at least to whatever degree it is. But the dveikos is a real dveikos. He's really taka cleaving on that level. He is working on that level. It's not that he didn't taka reach the level. He's taka there, but he's davening with but he's learning and he's davening with the dveikos. So nechshav l'avim plili is considered a vast sin. And as the Chachamim say, that Shakadosh Baruch Hu medaklik sviv of kuchot hasayra, that Hashem is medaklik with those that are close to Him, like the thinness of a hair. Like they say, if you toe, you need to toe the line. It's not just towing the line. The line is as thin as a hair. There's not the full width of a toe. We're not that fortunate. Yeah, it's thin like a hair. And as it says, Nisara means in the literal translation, Nisara would mean that it's very turbulent. It's very like a whirlwind. But the drush is the of Nisara, that his surroundings are like standing on a hair. Nisara from the lashon of Sarah, which means hair. And also according to simple understanding, it's understood. So it's understood that a person from the multitudes, the hoi polloi, as you would say, is able to do many things because of his lack of understanding, his lack of knowledge. But a Talmid Chacham knows very well how to be careful. And as it's the punishment of someone that knows that he's not allowed to do something. The person that doesn't know that he's not allowed to do something, it's understood to everyone that it's much greater. And also a simple person that does something wrong is not mechal l'shem shemayim. He doesn't cause a desecration of Hashem's name. Not so with the Talmid Chacham. The Talmid Chacham, when he does something wrong, it does cause a chilul Hashem. And as the Chachamim say, it says that if I take meat from the butcher and I don't pay the money that I need to pay right away, it would be a chilul Hashem. The Talmid Chacham needs to be very careful with everything that he does, because it could, even the slightest thing could cause a chilul Hashem. People might say, "Oh, this Talmid Chacham is doing something wrong," and you need to be careful. There's some opinions that everyone nowadays is Talmid Chacham, but whatever. Nowadays, if you walk around, everyone from a yid, whatever. But and this is also the things that are between a person and Hashem. And this was the intention of the Chachamim when they said that Hashem is medactic, that Hashem is very particular with those that are around him. I would ask if you have questions, we're already like 5 minutes over. So, Kitzur, Halem Terah being Gadol, someone that learns Terah with great depth. And someone that does Avodah in his heart with depth, with length of contemplation in davening, with godly understanding, until the thing is placed by him with great understanding, like the first time that you understand it. If he considers it, if he's self-satisfied with it, it's much worse than a person that doesn't have an understanding on this God, paying Yudke, someone that is haughty, causes a pgam in the letters of Yudke. Kabbalas Shemayim, he said Aveda, and Kabbalas Il is the foundation of Aveda. When we have